Next order of business is roll call of members. Please indicate your presence when the machine is open. If all the members voted, tally roll.
I'm Earl Harris, joined by Representative Blake Johnson also, and this is another edition of Sessions. So for those of you that don't know, inside of the different caucuses, there are actually leadership positions. So kind of a hierarchy, even inside of a caucus of elected officials. Today, we're joined by one of the members that is in the top three of that. We are joined by Representative Cherrish Pryor. She serves as the floor leader for the House Democrats. She's also the representative for House District 94. Thanks for joining us today, Cherrish.
No problem. Thank you all for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Aren't you impressed? You got Sessions out, Cherrish Pryor, all the S's and whatnot that are really difficult.
I'm a professional.
Yeah. You want to try my middle name?
Oh,
what
yeah.
is your middle name?
Let's do this.
Shanice.
Oh, yeah. Do Sessions.
Sessions.
Welcome to Sessions with Cherrish Shanice Pryor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome to Sessions with Cherrish Shanice Pryor.
Yes.
Right.
Handle my
You got
business.
it. You got
Oh,
it.
my
You
goodness.
got
The
it.
subscribers are rolling in.
All
They're
those
rolling
S's.
in.
See, not the first TV show I've hosted. All right. So we actually can get some business done. Let's get into what you do in your role in leadership. You are the floor leader. What exactly does that mean?
I am the House Democratic floor leader, and what I have done is try to put together some training sessions, particularly for some of our newer individuals, so that they know and understand the legislative process, particularly on the floor. The other thing that I try to do also is, as members may have amendments or bills that are being presented, if someone needs to, they need an additional person to speak in support or on behalf of their bill, oftentimes I'll get up there and speak in support of their legislation, because I think it's important sometimes that, not just that one person speaks on behalf of their bill, but or amendment, that other people can do it as well. So I really want to show my caucus members that as we're on the floor, they have someone there that can that will speak up for them. I can't say that I do it all the time, because we have some great members, and those members don't always need me to get up and say anything. We have some great members that can handle things themselves, but sometimes I do feel compelled to get up there and support them also.
Part of that, your kind of showing of support, you're also the person who almost regularly seconds the amendment, right? Because an amendment can't move forward without a second.
Yes.
So you are, if you listen to session, you hear that amendment get, the motion be made, and you hear, Second. And it's almost always Cherrish Pryor.
It is almost always me that is doing that, because we have to have a motion and a second on the floor in order for our bills and amendments to get heard. And that's a critical part of the process that we have. We're in the super minority, and one of the tools that we have.
Oh, man, are we? I just signed up again.
We all signed up again. But this is the thing, though. One of the ways that we show our constituents and Hoosiers that we're working for them is through our amendment process. And so it's important for us to do those amendments so that they know that we're working and there's an alternative to what the Republicans are putting forth. Alternatives that's going to be better for them. So even though we're in the super minority, we still are a critical voice for Hoosiers. And so I always say as a Black caucus, we're the conscience of the legislature, but as a Democrat caucus, we're also the voice of the people who are left behind, voiceless, and who the Republicans oftentimes just want to steamroll with their policies. They go back to their districts and, they don't tell them all of this. They tell them what they want them to know is good stuff, but quite frankly, a bunch of that stuff is not good.
Let's talk about this for a second. So I think one thing we talked about last season a bit, but just to kind of unfold this a little bit more behind the scenes, we talk about this amendment moment. You come on the floor, you got a big idea, and you want to defend the people we represent, you do it through an amendment. So one of the things that happens is we may not file a bill on that issue. And so you may, look at your legislator and go, why didn't that legislator file this bill? I know they care about this thing. It's something we care about as a constituency. When the reality is, by filing a bill, the rules can keep us from being able to have that debate on the floor. If we hold it off and there's no bill, we can actually bring an amendment and have a real debate. And that's a really powerful tool at our disposal.
It's a powerful tool, and that takes a lot of coordination with in communications with our members in leadership as well. So making sure that we're all on the same page and no one is fouling that piece of legislation that we really want to make sure gets passed and get debate. Now, sometimes people may try to offer up those things in committee. And the other thing too is people always say, well, you all aren't passing anything. You aren't passing anything. Sometimes our amendments do get incorporated. And so I always tell people, don't just look at the bills that my name is on or the bills that I didn't get passed. Let's talk about those amendments that I got passed in committees or on the floors. This session I didn't have many amendments that got incorporated, but sometimes I have maybe 3, 4, 5, or 6 amendments that get added in totality, and that's a success.
And not just on the floor, right? Not just on the floor, even in committee, right? Committee is a place where, and we talked about this previously, a lot of stuff happens where you may not get, we were talking, you may not get a billboard up put on you, but you get it in there and you're making a difference for Hoosiers.
And the other thing is, your name may not even be on that bill that your amendment is in. Yeah. That's the other thing. So the constituents, the public doesn't know it was you unless they do a lot of research and digging to see, hey, this amendment was Representative Johnson, and he got it added in committee.
I just usually just yell at people, watch the tape. Watch the tape. Go back. It was me.
Look at the footage. Everything is a video. Everything.
One of the things we talked about in a previous episode is we talked about how we in the minority have to think about what we do. And we talked about actually use the phrase, we're going to show people behind the curtain in this podcast. What you just did was do a little bit of that and stress that it's actually strategy. When we talk about amendment, not filing a bill, but doing an amendment, we actually have to engage in strategy in terms of getting things done.
Yes, we do, and that's something that we do throughout session. It's not just at the beginning of session; it's before session starts. Every week, every day, meeting as a caucus and talking about all of the amendments that we're going to have to vote on, and not even just amendments, some bills, that we have to talk in caucus and get a better understanding. And part of that process is, the committee process. We rely heavily on our ranking minority members and committee members to educate us on some of those bills because we have hundreds of bills and it's impossible for us to read all of those bills.
Even though people think we do.
Yeah, but it's impossible. I mean, especially when we're in long session, we have the budget. But it's important for us to rely on our committee members and our ranking minority members and quite frankly, sometimes even the lobbyists and people who have the expertise and the knowledge to educate us on things, because, as Representative Smith always say, one of us isn't smarter than all of us. And so it really takes a team to get us educated and up to date on some of these things that we're voting on.
Did Representative Smith pay you to mention his name today?
He should.
All right, let's dive a little bit into your committees. One of the committees you and I actually serve on is Ways and Means. You were talking about budget. Talk to us about what Ways and Means does during the budget session, but especially on a session like this when it's not budget.
Okay, so I've been on Ways and Means. I came on Ways and Means even as a freshman, my first year. So I was really honored to serve, and so I've been on there since 2008. And Ways and Means is the budget committee for the House, and so we hear all things fiscal. Anything that's over $50,000, if it doesn't get committed to Ways and Means initially, it can get recommitted to Ways and Means. So, and this is a very powerful committee. All revenue generating bills have to begin with and have to come out of Ways and Means. So this session is pretty much going to be the same thing. So any bill that has a fiscal is going to have to eventually find its way through Ways and Means. Now, we're not going to have a budget bill. I don't anticipate us opening up the budget again the way we did several years ago. But if there's anything fiscal that comes through the legislature this year, it'll have to be recommitted to Ways and Means, and we'll have an opportunity to hear some testimony and to talk about the bill.
I think if you're listening and you're wondering what committees your member serves on, you can look that up very easily on iga.in.gov. And if they serve on Ways and Means, add them to your Christmas card list, because it is a busy, busy committee where while many of us are heading home, that committee is going in to meet at the end of the week. And I think we owe a debt of gratitude to the folks that take that responsibility on. And you've done it since you were a freshman?
I've done it, yes, since I was a freshman. But the thing about being on Ways and Means, too, is you really do learn a lot about a little bit and sometimes a lot about every agency and everything that happens at the legislature, because a bunch of that stuff has to be recommitted to Ways and Means. We've had utility stuff to come back to us. We've had labor stuff, a whole bunch of education stuff, which is a whole nother topic. And so transportation items, DNR, things that are eliminating fees and fines that may have a impact on a budget of an agency, Department of Local Government Finance. So all of those, Department of Revenue, all of those find their way to Ways and Means, and we spend time learning about it, and it really makes you, I think, more informed legislator.
Cherrish, I have a question, and it's an important one, and so you can take a moment if you need to. This is the second episode, and Earl is still in a full suit and tie and pocket square. And so my question,
two combined together,
two interwoven pocket squares, which, okay. So if you're just listening, I hope you can picture it. I mean, it's a wonderful suit. If you're watching, you got a good idea here. But Cherrish, my question for you is, do you think at some point throughout the filming of this podcast, this session, we can get Earl to show up in a casual outfit? Have you actually ever seen Earl in a casual
Yes,
outfit?
I'm going to answer for her. Yes.
Do you have T-shirts?
Yes.
You have T-shirts.
I have T-shirts and shorts.
He has sweaters, dress sweaters.
The word dress is still in there.
I know. I noticed that. Thank you, Cherrish.
Jeans.
Okay.
Mini pair.
Mini jeans?
Yes.
Like
no,
mini
pairs of jeans, not mini.
Okay, I'll take
not
his
a good
word.
look.
I'll take his word for that.
They call those, I think, jeggings.
And I think he has some gym shoes.
I do have lots of gym shoes. I work
gym
out.
Shoes.
And
Yeah,
I'm
so
athletic.
he works out. I have seen him not in a suit when we have been to like NBCSL, and he's traveling, and I may see him run into him at the hotel. So I have seen him.
Take a picture next time. We spotted him in the wild. I want to see. All right, well, we can move on, but I just think it was important.
Because I didn't know this was about my wardrobe.
No, it's going to be.
It may get to a point where he may wear a sweater and a tie.
Okay, still a tie.
I was thinking about going tieless because, Blake doesn't have a tie, apparently.
Yeah. Or another suit.
And I was supposed to come dressed up.
That's okay. All right, so we're going to transition back to.
But you're still a snappy dresser.
Well, thank you. I
You're
do
a
like.
snappy dresser.
I enjoy clothing. It's a thing for me. All right, so let's get back to session. We're in the 2024 session, short session, and there is some theory of trying to get through it in a non-painful way. How do you think this session is going to play out?
I think that it is going to be a rapid session. I don't know. Generally, when we go into session, the first week or so is somewhat slow. I don't know that it's going to happen that way this session, because I've been hearing that we're going to get out earlier. And if we get out earlier, I think that we're going to ramp up pretty darn quickly. I'm hoping that we don't have a bunch of controversial stuff that we deal with this session, but I don't know that that's going to happen.
When you say controversial, anything on the horizon you want to talk about?
I mean, I just think that, we're going to one, for me, I hope we deal with no social issues. Mm-hmm. Those are things that, I think we need to leave those alone. I think people are really tired of us being in their bedrooms. People are tired of us dictating what a woman should do with her body. People are tired of the social issues. They just want us to deal with issues that can make their lives better. And those social issues are not what's going to make their lives better.
Often those are the issues that are choosing groups of people to make their lives worse, right?
Yep.
And that's really
Absolutely.
shouldn't be the business of government. I think another thing that's maybe important to us, shared, is how often the legislature is becoming 150 Indianapolis city councilors and constantly coming back to the issues that that impact our city. So I'm hoping, you hear grumblings already about things that are going to pop up, and I'm also hoping we can avoid.
Indigo.
Yeah,
is
Indigo's
one of the
among
things that I
those.
heard
Yeah,
that,
so it's
taking more power from the prosecutor. But local people want the ability to govern the best way that is going to make life better for the citizens that voted for them. And you're totally right. We are becoming a glorified school board and a glorified council, particularly in Marion County. But now I think some of those things are starting to backfire in some of those other communities, particularly when you look at the housing situation and the number of B&Bs that are, that people are being concerned about, because people are having parties. They're renting these B&Bs and they're having parties. And the people in those local communities outside of Marion County, they're not too happy about those. So, we put some policies in place, I think, that is not just affecting Marion County, but it's affecting other communities, and those people are starting to speak up.
What's frustrating, and then I know Earl's got more questions for you, is we are living in a time where conservative leadership used to be small government, and now conservative leadership seems to be small government as long as it's state level, but local government is being kind of given the shaft in a lot of ways, and that's pretty frustrating.
It is, and I was on the city county council, and so were you.
Yeah.
So, to see oftentimes, particularly as you said, Marion County, the Republicans, I think, just mad that it's Democrat control, and now they want to control Marion County, and I don't think that's right. Even to the point, even like our judges, in Marion County, we don't get to vote for our judges.
We don't either in where I am.
Yeah, there's like the largest county, except for Hamilton County, can't vote for their judges, but all the other counties can. Something's wrong with that. Something is wrong with that. Locals need local control. We should not be micromanaging. Now, I will say, there are some things that need to be uniform when you're dealing with the DLGF and the reporting requirements. There needs to be some uniformity to those type of things. But locals know what's best for locals, even with each county having to come, county and city are having to come to us to raise their innkeeper's tax or, their local income tax. We shouldn't be the ones that are, that are voting on that. The locals should be able, if they want to do it, they should be able to vote on it. I shouldn't have to vote on what happens in Warren County.
Well, and that's one of the things
they know what they want the money for. Let them do it.
So you two are both in Indianapolis. I'm Northwest Indiana.
Did that come through?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
But that goes along with, even so, people like I that are not in Indianapolis, we sometimes look at some of these things and going, seriously, why are we, this is not what we should be doing.
Yeah.
So we have those frustration moments for you, well, frustration for us as having to deal with it, but for you that live in Indianapolis and having us overtake what should be local decision making.
Sometimes makes me want to take my tie off.
You know what? But that's what we dealt with in Lake County, though, with the school board.
Yes.
Or in Gary.
With
the Gary school board. It was the legislature that pretty much told Ball State, you will
run the Muncie.
You will run the Muncie school system. And so, we deal with it, I think, more here on more things with Marion County. But no local area is immune from the wrath of my Republican colleagues wanting to take control over some form of local government.
And we hear all this local, but then we have us coming in and taking over stuff that should be a local type decision.
Absolutely, yeah.
So let's talk about your legislation. Talk to us about a bill or two that you filed for 2024.
Okay, so I filed my 5 bills. Let's see. I'll start with one bill that I filed because a lady approached me. Her son has autism, and he's at the age where he is wanting to drive, but she's concerned that if he were to be stopped by the police officer and he's autistic, he may not be able to fully communicate with the police officers. And so I have a bill that will allow autism to be one of the identifiers in the BMV records, and to require BMV to share with the state police if there's a release form, to share with the police that there's a medical condition for this individual. Because right now, they don't necessarily share that information. So you can have a medical condition, the BMV will know about it, but the state police may not know about it. And it's, to me, very important that they both know. The other part of that bill is that with the medical information, it cannot be shared. So BMV can't share the medical information, and neither can state police, but they can share it amongst the agency if the individual says, I want my information to be shared with the BMV. So,
so opt-in kind of situation.
it's opt-in. And then I also have another bill dealing with investors. You all are probably like me, you get a bunch of phone calls from individuals wanting to buy your home at the most awkward or awkward time of day. And so I have a bill that states if you're an investor, you have to wait 90 days in order to purchase a home. And also you have to have a realtor. So it's a requirement that you can't just say cash buy, we can go in and get this taken care of. We want to make sure that there's a realtor that's involved into the sale of that property, and also making sure that the realtor isn't someone that they just hire to get around the process of making sure that these investors who are out of state and out of the country to coming in and are purchasing homes and running up the home values and making it almost impossible for people to purchase a home who want to actually purchase a house and live in a home. And then that gets into the B&Bs, the renting out the houses for short terms and really upsetting the local environment of the housing. And so this hopefully will be some stabilization for that. So,
and we had a meeting over the summer, and we even learned that there are times where, so I will go to Blake and I'm going to buy your house. I'm going to make you this offer, blah, blah, blah. Same time I'm buying his house for one amount, I'm trying to sell that house to you for a bigger amount. And so you get into some of these dynamics of people trying to get into housing, and it takes away from that American dream of being able to buy a house, or it boosts the price up where it becomes less affordable.
Well, and there's one thing that we've got finite of in this country, and it's the land that houses are built on and and as much space that houses can take up. And these institutional investors, these big companies that are coming in and buying entire neighborhoods to turn the whole thing into rental, and that takes off the assets that are left. Home ownership is further and further out of the way. Now, I think rentals are an important piece of the pie. Folks need to be able to have that option as they're working towards home ownership. But when these institutional investors are coming in, or just kind of nefarious actors from out of state generally, we can see some pretty significant problems that are pushing people out of that American dream, like you said.
Yeah, and it's affecting the property tax values too, and it's making it difficult for those long-time homeowners to stay in their home, because if you're an investor, you say, I cash buy, and it's $100,000 over. That means that the two of us are going to be paying more in our property tax value as well, because they purchased the property from you for $100,000 more. That's an exaggeration, but you get the point. It's an issue. Property taxes are an issue. Home ownership is an issue, and renting is an issue too. We want to make sure that we have affordable and safe rentals as well for people. People need to be able to live in a community or in housing where they're safe, where they have water, where they have utilities, and where the roof isn't leaking.
Kind of vital.
Yeah.
What else you have? What else you have for this session?
What else do I have? So I have that, and then I have let's see, I have a bill dealing with appraisals, discriminatory practices and appraisals. So I have 3 bills that's dealing with housing. And that bill would just basically say that you cannot discriminate against a person in their appraisal process. Across the country, we're seeing that African Americans and minorities, their property is being appraised for less than their white counterparts, and for really no reason at all. And so what this bill is saying, you have to give adequate appraisal value, and if you do not, then you will have a fine that you will pay. There was a situation here in Marion County that made national news of a lady who had her home appraised, and it was lower than what she thought. She took out all of her African American paintings and statues and things. She had one of her white friends to come in, and when they came in, her appraisal value was much higher. And that happens time and time again.
Yeah.
What is it that's making the house a lower value in the same community for me as an African American than it would be if I had a white person there? And it's just, it's depriving that person, one, of their assets, their monetary asset. And if you're trying to get a loan, a home improvement loan, it makes it difficult for you to get a home improvement loan. If you're trying to purchase sell your house, purchase a new house, it's making it difficult for them to do that as well. And it's just not right, And the other thing is, I think we need to have more African American appraisers as well, more minority appraisers. So you have a bigger group of people to come in and do your appraisal as well.
Good. Anything else before we're almost out of time? You want to drop in another one?
No,
that's it. All right.
That was a.
So I want to go into something real quick that you are actually, so you're a state representative, you have the leadership position you're on Ways and Means and other committees, but you actually have a national position with a national organization.
I do. I am the national treasurer for the National Black Caucus of State Legislators. And that is an organization of African American legislators around the country. And yeah, I'm honored to be serving my second term as treasurer of the organization. Proud of it. We do a lot of great stuff. We meet, we discuss public policy. It's an opportunity for the African American community to learn about policy that our colleagues may have introduced in their state that will benefit us here in Indiana. So, we always walk away with a wealth of information and knowledge on some things that my other colleagues are doing that can benefit not only the African American community, but, Hoosiers in general as well.
Cherrish, you've got some institutional knowledge and have served in the building for a while. Also, didn't you start as an intern in the building?
I did. When I moved to Indianapolis in 1995, I was an intern, and I had Representative Crawford and Sheila Klinker.
Oh, goodness. That was my first choice for the co-host was Sheila.
But he settled for me.
But we had to settle for Earl. No, I'm just kidding. Sort of kidding.
I love Sheila.
She's wonderful.
And Representative Crawford.
I guess my question is, as you look back on that time, even back to being an intern, what are the things that stand out about this job to you? What are the things that kind of stand out about the experience that people should know as they're listening in to what it's like to be a legislator?
I think that what people should know is legislators work hard. We have individuals who come in from out of town when we're in session that basically live here, and that does require them and their family to make sacrifices. And so we do that, but it's a rewarding process as well. And one of the things that gives me the greatest joy, I guess maybe I'll say two things, that gives me the greatest joy is when I get to interact with young people. And
you're talking about me right now? Is that part of?
Are you calling me old?
Well, I wasn't saying. Listen,
you have a young one at home.
I do,
but not you.
Not me, not anymore. Sorry.
So dealing with young people. And then when I get the opportunity to interact with my constituents, and I know that my office or I have did something to help them, they had an issue, and we were able to resolve their issues. So that's important to me. The other thing I would say is, a lot of the bills, what people hear and see on TV is a lot of the controversial stuff. So we do deal with a lot of controversial bills. But we also deal with bills that are not controversial, that some of us agree with and vote in support of in a bipartisan fashion, and some of us vote against some things in a bipartisan fashion. So I think it's important for people to know that, not 100% of what we do is political and divisive. There are some things that we do agree upon, and that we do have relationships close relationships, not only with our Democrat colleagues, but we do get to know our Republican colleagues quite well. Also, and although I disagree with a bunch of their policies, as individuals, some of them you genuinely do like.
All right, so let's just end with you naming the 5 you like the least. I'm just kidding.
Only 5.
Only 5. We don't have
Only
to do that.
5?
No, that's for the DVD version.
Yeah,
the outtakes.
that's the bonus version of this. All right, real quick, 30 seconds because we're almost done. Advice you give to, in your leadership position, you give to new legislators that come in.
Take the opportunity to learn the process. It is so important. Do not assume that you know everything. That would be a bad assumption. But if
it happens.
It happens. But you really need to learn the process. Learn the process and establish relationships with your colleagues, both Democrats and Republicans. This position is all about relationship building. If you want to be effective.
Yeah.
If you want to be effective, it's about relationships.
This episode brought to you by Authentic Relationships.
So on that note,
Representative Cherrish Pryor.
Shanice Pryor. I'm not going to get that out of my head now. If I accidentally call you Representative Shanice, don't slap me.
I won't. That's my niece's name.
Oh, is it?
My niece has my name.
So it's a family connection
It's
there.
a family connection.
Well, thank you for joining us on this edition of Sessions. Representative Cherish Shanice Pryor. Look at that. I did it again.
Listen, you don't even need me anymore.
I'm smooth.
It's
over.
off
I'm
your
not smooth.
tongue.
I'm smooth.
It just rolls off.
It just rolls off the tongue. We do appreciate you being with us, and thank you for all the leadership you provide at the State House for the House Democrats. It's greatly
And thank
appreciated.
you all for having me. I enjoyed myself.